see a lot of members here.
So funny, when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see anything.
Popping in.
That's good. It's a good day for camp.
Good day for camp.
Purple bottle, my purple sweatshirt. I'm going.
I know you guys are so coordinated.
Got my water bottle. I have my chapstick.
Ooh, I didn't have my chapstick.
Oh, we already got a raised hand. Michelle, I see your hand raised. If you just want to put in the chat, if you have a question, and anyone for that matter, make sure you click the little chat box down below and just type in. Maureen says, hello, ladies from Canada. Hello, Maureen.
Hello, Maureen.
Hello.
Hello, Lachelle. Lachelle, make sure, yeah, it's recording. I always have this fear that it's not recording. That's like my nightmare. Susan from Pretty Petals in PA. A lot of P's right there. Pretty Petals in PA. Hello from Vermont. What's up from Steve? We got a surprise for Steve. And
Oh, yes, we do, Steve.
Oh.
Lachelle, are you going to be at Texas State? I'm going to be there too. You're not going to just see Vonda. You're getting a 2-for-1. You get to see Vonda and me.
You get Lori
here.
Yay.
Denise is here. Good.
So what do you think? Is a little at past? Do we want to get started?
Yep. I know we can't wait to meet you in person either. It's so fun to meet our clickers in person. If any of you happen to be new to a webinar for the first time, just know that if you have any kind of question anytime during this, you can scroll or hover in that chat button below. So with that, Vonda, I think we are ready to go.
All right. Well, I'm going to have Ellie try to explain what all these question marks are about here.
Oh. Well, everyone, welcome to Camp Clique, the first session here. I created a little badge system to make it a little more fun. So all of you at the end will receive the care package badge for the first session. We do have a full packed summer, so we have 5 more sessions after that. Right now they're little mystery badges, but those will be revealed as the sessions get released and you guys attend, and I will talk a little bit more about that at the end, but you'll receive some info via email on the badges and the exciting thing with that.
Just like camp, there's lots of surprises.
Yeah.
So sympathy, or the feeling of sorrow for someone's loss or misfortune, hasn't changed. People still care and they exchange words of care and comfort. But what has changed is the way that society in general has shifted from that final celebration. That final celebration has a choice that it seems like so many years ago wasn't there. In the early 1980s, cremation rates in North America and around the world began to rise. I'm not telling you anything new. If you've been in this business for a while, you get it. You know that. And the same reason as today that number started to increase is cost, environmental issues, and the use of land. But cremation rates have risen to 6.5%. And that's something that's just released in 2023 from the National Funeral Home Directors Association. And it's expected to reach 80% by 2035. Wow, or higher. An interesting data that I ran in the cost, and you have probably been aware of this, is because of the high number of deaths that occurred during the pandemic, there were a lower number of deaths during 2022 and early in 2023. We're just now stabilizing in the number of deaths or services that will be in 2024 has kind of stabilized us on this. Another prediction is from the Cremation Association of North America. So we have the National Funeral Directors and the Cremation Association, and they're saying that once we hit 70%, things are supposed to stabilize and significantly slow down when it hits 80%. So it's almost like that 80-20 rule that we're going to end up with, is that 80% will be cremation and 20% that will be funerals, traditional funerals. So the top states with the highest number or highest percentage of cremations are here. You can see it. It's really in the Northeast and the Northwest, with just, it looks like Hawaii is the exception to that, and Montana, but most of them are the extremes there, and some reaching almost 82% if you're in the state of Nevada.
Chat in if you are in one of these top states. I'm curious. We're curious who's in these states. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and also the bottom states, right? And the bottom
Yes.
states are almost the bottom states, except for Utah. Those southern states have the lowest percentage of cremations. So anybody here that is in those areas would be really great to see. I think this was very fascinating because we're looking at those people who are rooted. They're staying in their communities. They're more rooted in their hometowns and deeply connected to traditions. Those are the ones who are staying with that traditional funeral, where the ones who are roaming, right? So they're going across the country, maybe across the world. They've loosened those connections to their geographic origins, and they're exposed to new traditions. And those are the ones that we're seeing that are selecting cremations instead of the traditional rooted funerals. And if you think about it, that's most of our population now. We're seeing that everybody's moving around. They're experiencing more of worldly experiences. And so that makes sense to us. This is a quote from the National Funeral Directors Association report. And we've pretty much gone over this, but the factors that are really associated with this are cost, decreased household discretionary income, environmental concerns, fewer religious prohibitions, and simpler cremations, and really less rituals. So all of those are playing into what we're seeing as that greater increase. Here we have the states. Why I love this look, because you can really see where those higher 71% and higher are. We were recently in Des Moines, Iowa, and I asked several people there, hey, what do you think the cremation rate is in the state of Iowa? And most of them said, oh, ours is probably 30 to 40%. And I said, well, get back to me. I want you to ask your funeral director what that number really is. And I had several of them come back to me and said, our funeral director said it's 61% here. And they were shocked. They had no idea that that was the number that they have in their state, because they're not seeing it. They just feel there's less funerals in the area, but they didn't really realize it was that impacted by the number of cremations. So much like a rose is a rose is a rose, a cremation is not a cremation. Let's look at the three different types of cremations we have. The first is a full service cremation. This is where you think it's a regular service, right? It's a full service. You're seeing the body. It's a visitation. The casket is open. You're viewing. You're visiting with the family. The service is at either the church or the funeral home. Sometimes there's a luncheon, sometimes not, but it depends on the scope of the services, whatever the family decides to do. The average cost today of a funeral is $6,900. Now, there's some that are 10 or 12,000, and there's some that are around 4 or 5,000. But if you have kind of the average service that's full service cremation, you're looking at just less than $7,000. Okay, so then the cremation is when the body is cremated before the service, is usually called a memorial service. Again, this usually a public gathering. You have family and friends in, maybe you have a luncheon, maybe you don't, same type of thing. And then you do a burial of the ashes. Again, family decides what is going to happen in that service, but there is some type of a service. Cost varies on this, can be as low as $3,300, but can be as much as the other service if you have, the funeral home played more of a part of that service for you. And then there's something that's a pure cremation, or sometimes known as a direct cremation. And there's no ceremony, there's no attendance, there's no farewell. And the average of this is about $1,500 in a temporary container, not like you see here. This is a pretty one. So why are people doing this? The reasons are this: they're taking more time to arrange a memorial or a celebration of life ceremony that truly reflects the loved one's behaviors, beliefs, relationships. And they most often select a different venue or a location that has personal significance. They invest more in that big farewell event. So they're still having that celebration of life. And they often have the favorite food and drink of that person. They want to find the perfect date for everyone to attend, including evenings and weekends, which a lot of times aren't typical, and they like to involve more people in that farewell. So, and it also allows them sometimes to give more of the money for a legacy. If you've saving money on the regular funeral, sometimes they put all that money into the big party or celebration. So what does the decline of traditional services mean for the funeral business? Maybe it's better stated as, what does the growth in cremation and the decline of traditional service mean for the funeral business? So mostly it's that drop in revenue. So I want you to do the math with me here, because this is really important, because you can see what the experience of the funeral homes are having, right? So if there's, let's 6,900 to 5,500 or 3,000 or 1,500. So our price of a regular funeral around 7,000, and it's dropping that amount. The National Funeral Directors Association tells us there's about 113 deaths per year for a mom and pop shop, so mom and pop funeral home. And so when we look at those 113, and their gross revenue typically was around 800,000 to 900,000, somewhere in that range. So then we turn that into a 50-50. And let's say that they're all full service cremations, which would be the 3,300. Now you can see the decline in revenue, and that's almost $300,000 decline in their revenue. Now that's tough for them. You can imagine us, some shops that I work with that's their whole sales, right? Now you can reduce some overhead. Your cost of goods sold could go down a little bit, but wow, how do you make that much adjustments? And that's where flower shops can come in, because they're looking for other revenue streams. Look, let me back up, because that's not the full picture. With those direct cremations, people are walking away and there's no service, right? There's nothing. So, and they're saying 41% are direct cremations. That's only 300,000 in direct gross revenue. That's almost half of, or less than half of their gross revenue that they were getting before. So that's crazy, huh? So the major business strategy is they have to change, they have to pivot, they're making changes. Now, this has been predicted for many funeral homes for many years. I mean, it's been at least 7 years that we've been talking about, okay, this is happening, they're making pivots, they're doing changes, and many of them have done that, and we'll cover some of those things that they've been doing. But also that shift affects the funeral consumers. As a consumer, I look at this and I say, well, it makes it more affordable, more flexible. It alleviates that time crunch. And you can see there's a big difference in when you have a death, what you have to do for decisions. So that's why it's changing, because the mindset is changing of the consumer, of the person who's going through this grieving process. And if you think about it, right, funeral homes, both large and small, are purchasing, they're either closing or they're consolidating. Cemeteries, they're not selling plots. Some are building colubriums, which are little buildings to hold the cremains in little pockets, so they're building those to help have some revenue coming in. They built the cremation facilities. So instead of sending them away to have the bodies cremated, they're building those facilities, so at least they're getting that $1,500 for that cremation. And then legislation is changing things too. So there's so much going on in the funeral business that we're not aware of. The more we're aware of it, the more we can understand why we need to see what we can do to give more revenue to that funeral home and get more business. But let's apply all of this to the floral industry. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, because if there are no funerals, we have direct cremations, then there won't be any flowers. So what can you do about it? That's the question. Big thing you can start with is create awareness. You can do email marketing campaigns talking about the benefits of flowers. There's great information on the Society of American Florists website about studies that have been done and the benefits of flowers. As you can see, flowers feed compassion, chase away anxiety, improve emotional health. So there's so many things that flowers do, and we know that, but we've got to get the word out. If we don't share that information with the general public, with consumers, they don't understand how much flowers play into healing during the grieving process. So creating something on social is huge.
Yeah, Vonda, I wanted to jump in really quick when you got to this point, because as you mentioned, we were in Des Moines recently and we did a sympathy or a design show. We did a little bit of sympathy design.
Mhm.
And Ellie and I were talking to them about some social media and things. And we asked them how many of you post your sympathy designs on social media. And out of the whole group, I think I can count on one hand how many, raised their hand. But I thought it was interesting after the show was over, so many people came up afterwards and said, I never really have thought to do that. And I'm going to do it now. Right. Well, because why not? Because why not? Because you can do it in an honorable, respectful way. And just as a gentle reminder to people, this is why we do what we do. Because also everybody in that room was like, it's one of my favorite things to do.
Right.
Is sympathy.
I think that's true with most florists, is they love to do sympathy, and posting things like we were saying here from McShann, which is in Texas, is so respectful. And it also is a reminder for people. It's like, wow, what a way to send on a loved one, right? It's that beautiful tribute that you're seeing. And it's, if we all did this, it would plant seeds in consumers everywhere. That's like, wow, even though I'm not maybe having a funeral, we need to have something with flowers, because it really is a healing beauty, and a sign of hope.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Lori. Yes, that's wonderful. That's the first thing we can do, is really create that awareness. The other thing you can do is create a partnership with the funeral director. When I'm saying a partnership, first and foremost, you just want to be able to let them know that you guys aren't on two different teams. You're on the same team. You have a common goal to bring comfort to those grieving families. You meet the needs of the family at the most difficult of times. You specialize in that, and so do they. And you just compliment them. I've heard endless times that how wonderful you guys are here, how you really help people through some most difficult time. We specialize in flowers. Quality floral tributes that help flowers in that difficult time. So you kind of have to, give them some good words, but then also sing your praises, because what is it that you do that's better than anybody else in that town? What is it you do better than your competitors? When I'm saying that, that relationship is everything. And I know that some of you on here are like, well, we don't have a great relationship with our funeral director because of this or because of that. And I've had many of those conversations. But it's really, you got to try harder. That's what I say, right? Because they have that undivided attention of the family. They're that trusted establishment, and that's where the consumer or the grieving person is going to go. And most of the time, when you think about it, they're taking that financial risk first. So to strengthen that relationship, it's all about communication. You need to communicate with the funeral director certain things, which most of you are. Oh, what time do you want the flowers there for the service? Do we just need to bring them and leave them in the back room, or would you like us to put them in the room and put them on the casket? So the little things of communication, so that you guys know what's expected of you, and they know they can trust you and make sure you'll get it done for them. Also, respect from your driver. Guys, when the driver pulls up with the radio blasting and gets out and they're just not being respectful, that's really key to a lot of funeral directors, and you probably won't hear it. But when and they're coming in the door and they're loud and they're not putting flowers exactly where the funeral director wants them, those little things really do mean a lot. So go the extra mile, be available. If they need you to take flowers from point A to point B, do it. Can we take them to the cemetery for you? Can we take them to the funeral or to the assisted living place? So all of those little things that you can do to provide an extra service for them brings value to what you do.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, when we were at Des Moines doing the Sympathy show, let me put my video on quick so I'm not just a floating head. So Julie Poltler, who has a shop in Iowa, what won the business for her is being available constantly, right? Death is not a scheduled event. And so when that funeral director, if you can give them your cell phone number and be available on a Saturday night to get that order or whatever it takes, kind of being available around the clock and communicating that if it's harder to win the funeral director's attention, just let them know that, I'm here whenever you need me. I think being available is the number one thing. And I'm sure you guys probably know that, but I just wanted to bring that home.
Okay, so that was great information, Ellie, to add in there, being available. And I was seeing that somebody had in there, but somebody else already has most of the business in the town. And one thing that really does make a difference is being available and always having that relationship and continuing with it, because somebody's going to mess up. And that's what most of the people we've found, Lori, that they have gotten or they won that business is because they sit back and they still continue with that relationship. They're still doing what they need. And sometimes it's many years, but then it's like, wow, I can't believe that they called me.
The other thing, going back to using Julie as an example, yes, in the beginning, she was there kind of at his beck and call, or a few of a lot, and it probably was kind of a daunting task. But now that relationship is established, they truly just text her and say, hey, I need a casket spray. Their favorite color is pink. Do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Because the trust is there.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, got it. And that's it. But she had to work for that, right?
Yeah,
so she
did.
had hard work up front. She still does hard work, but she had to do a lot of that. But she got to that relationship that is strengthened. And now it's pretty smooth.
It is, yeah. And we have a lot of our Flower Clique members that have that relationship with the funeral director.
For sure.
Okay, well, let's go on. So what I want to continue with, because a lot of people don't do this, is remember, this is a business transaction. We just went through how much money the funeral director is not losing, but their revenue, the loss of revenue is. And I mentioned that they're looking for ways to increase that revenue. And a way you can do that is to offer a commission for flowers that they sell for you, right? Yes, some people call it kickback, some people call it what? But if they are actually selling those flowers for you, then you can pay them to do that. In some states, you call it a commission. You will have to, when you're doing the billing, you might say early payment discount. So you have to check in your state, because I know some of you are going, we can't do that in my state. Well, you could still get those funds to them in a different way, but we're suggesting starting with 20% commission, and you go, well, that's 20% I'm not making. So I wanted to look at that a minute. If you're doing any wire in business, some of you are, some of you aren't, totally aware of that. That's 27% that you're giving up if it's wire in, right? So there you go. That's less than that. And if you're taking the orders in your store, then when I look at profitability of employees and the worth of employees based on what they make and what they're producing, we give credit back to those salespeople of 7% on that sale. So 7%, you're not paying them that, but that's how we look at their worth. And 3%, let's call it, for credit card sales. So in store, you're really giving about 10% already. So now you're extending it up and above that 10% that you're doing in the store, or it's less than if it was wire. So this business transaction is something that's bringing them revenue, and it's also bringing you more revenue. If you're their preferred florist and you're getting those extra sales in, it's, you know, it's a win-win. I mean, it couldn't really be much better than that. So what we do, we suggest that you come up with some type of a tool for them. Tool, when I'm saying tool, at Flower Clique, we have something called a Celebration of Life guide. And it's a book that is a coffee table quality book, and it, you know, has beautiful pictures in it that match what's on your website. And then we give you these suggested celebration or conversations of how you can have that conversation with your funeral director. So all that information is really important, and to come to them with a guide that they can sell from to make it really easy for them, or maybe it's on a jump drive that can be on their big monitors that we know they have in the rooms that are selling the caskets. The flowers can go up there as well. So it makes it really easy for them to help sell those flowers for you. Or, you know, we know the comfort it brings to people. So we suggest a book, right? Something that's a hardcover or a quality piece for you to have at the funeral home and to match what's on your website. That's the key, because once they leave the funeral home and they've looked at what's available, they need to go back to their homes and discuss that with their families and say, oh, let me show you what I had. And then they can pull it up on the website and they can see what it is. And the family members can get something that's going to coordinate with that if they haven't been in that funeral home with them. So those are really important things to make sure you're giving the funeral director tools so that they can sell, make extra revenue, and you can increase your sales. It all starts with inspiration and a really great photo shoot. So here is us at a photo shoot. Ellie was doing some tweaking on the design for that casket spray. Lori is just bringing a little bit of fun to the whole thing and keeping us on key and doing the checks so that we make sure that we have everything we need to prepare for the Celebration of Life guide. And if you guys have done a photo shoot with flowers, you know how intense it can get and how every little detail matters. And that's what we see here is 3 of us on one design trying to get it right for the camera. So when we move forward from that, you have a finished product that is something that you're really proud of. To have a professional photographer do the work for you so that your finished product is something that you want to have in that funeral home is huge. Has to have prices clearly displayed. I've seen many times that people do a book and then they have stickers in there. And I'm just ask you, if you see anything, a magazine, or, well, I shouldn't say magazine, you're in some office and they're selling something and there's a sticker on top of a price, what do you think first? Ooh, I want to take that sticker off, see how much the one was before they put that sticker on there. So it's always like you think there's maybe something else under there that was a different price. That's what I always think of when I think of people saying, oh, I'm just going to put stickers on it. So that's why this is the professional way to do it. Just make sure your prices are clearly displayed so that they know that it's totally transparent of what you're getting there. Make sure that you have things for the family, but also coordinating pieces that family and friends are able to order. These are the same things that are on the website. So what's in the book, it's on the website. And when they're going through the book with the family, they can say, oh, I really liked this set, but you know, maybe you want to get something like this vase that can go to our house afterwards. You know, suggestions like that are very helpful. The key to meeting with a family is to make sure that you're getting all the information you need. We know that personalization is key. That's been a big trend for, gosh, so many years. But sometimes we sit back and we forget about that personalization. And it all starts when you're having that meeting with the family. And there's really these are some information from our workbook from our Sympathy Prep School. And it really is that 5 steps to success for having that conversation with the family when they come in, or even giving this information to the funeral directors if they're selling the information for you. You know, what can we learn about the deceased, their favorite colors, their favorite flowers, and their hobbies? Are they a gardener? Do they like to go fishing? Are they sports fans? You know, all of those things make you look better when you're completing that last tribute you can for the family. So personalization, these are some new personalization items that we created. Football, simple things that some of you have done before. And the key is knowing the correct mechanics to put these special add-in items into the design. So the football, a volleyball, the picture, the football or the baseball helmet, all of those can plant the seed on how you can personalize things. We have people who bring it to the next level. Lori asked me to put this in here.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite. I love when we can show off some of our members, Ralph at Giordano's and Steve from Especially If You Florists. You should follow both of them on their social media. Are they both here? I know Steve's here. I don't know if Ralph's here. They are amazing at funeral work. They are both incredibly gifted. And this is just some of their work. And I know Steve and I have had a few conversations, and he even has other flower shops refer people to him because they can't do this work. So, this is taking customization next level. So one of the fun things that I'll share that he does, and Ralph has done too, he'll put in our members group, guess what I'm making? And he'll put the pattern, and everyone's like, a fire truck or a blah, blah, blah. What, and so it's one of my favorite things when he does that. So
yeah, I just love that. I mean, it's such talent, it's just
such a gift.
Yeah, such a gift. I love that. And then you don't want to forget to do designs for the home, or service, vases that can be sent, that can be taken home. The little personalization there with the baseball glove could go to a home as well as a funeral home. And we've seen all of these go to homes, Lori. And then the plants, a lot of times plants, since they're not, if they're doing a direct cremation, we still have an opportunity to send flowers to the home. And that's what we want to encourage. If they're not sending them to a funeral, and that again comes back to social posting.
It does. Well, and not to keep bringing up our Des Moines thing, but they had such great questions. And we were talking about, when you have this book, or even when your shop has it and what the family ordered, one of the benefits is when somebody calls and say they want to send something to the home or something, what the family had, and you can look over on the opposite page and go, ooh, it would be great. No one's ordered this yet. And it complements what they ordered. It would look beautiful with it. Yeah. And we had so many people wanting to share their story, with when they did something like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. So just to recap, we went over the clarifications of the different choices for a death, the different cremations, and the impacts they have on your business and the funeral home business, and really what a business opportunity this created, bringing them more revenue, which brings you more revenue. You really should promote Sympathy on your website, and as well as all the social and email. So whenever you can promote flowers, don't forget to promote Flowers for Sympathy. I think that's the one. And I think most of you, when you're looking on websites, on social, you're not quite seeing as many that are about sympathy as you do others. So, and then get that personalization strategy and know the mechanics to properly put it in there. Nothing gets a funeral director more frustrated is when they're delivering one of those personalizations and something falls out, right? So either we mark it clearly, this is not attached, in the back, so the funeral director knows that, or you really have it anchored in their wall so they don't have to worry about it when they're moving. And create that tool for your funeral home, or join Flower Clique. We have it all ready for you. We will have another session. Go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, I was just going to jump on. We have a supplemental video that we're sending out to all the VIP campers, which are our members, that's going to show off the entire new book, updated version, and all of the details. And we've kind of streamlined the order process and everything, but we really give you an in-depth look at the book and all of the updates that have been made, and it's pretty exciting. So I will send that out today, hopefully, once we're off of this. So look out for that in your inbox.
Great. So questions. So we had questions typed in. A lot of
questions.
So should we just go ahead and start with those?
Yeah, go ahead and start with these. And then if we have time, we'll get to the others. If not, I'm going to copy paste them and we can email the answers.
This one's, what's the best way to create more sympathy work if your local funeral home always recommends a competing florist? I think that really has to do again with social and emails. I mean, you have an email list and sending out emails to let them know that you are the place to go for those, and create them on your social media. I mean, let them know, sometimes that you making a post of what you have done and the beautiful flowers they see there makes the difference. You know what the competitors do, and if you do it better, just keep it out there. Keep your work in the forefront. Any other suggestions?
No, I think it's hard for us to advocate for ourselves sometimes and be our own voice when we feel intimidated that, maybe the funeral director's recommending somebody else. But yeah, just you always have to be your biggest cheerleader and doing it in a respectful way, in a way that portrays how important this work is to you. That, I think that's the main case with most florists. That's their favorite thing to do is sympathy, and just getting the word out that how much it really means to you and how much of an honor it is that you get to be the florist to do that and to handle that with care, I think can go a long ways when the customer directly sees that and feels that from you on your social and email channels.
And to tag on to what Ellie just said, it will most likely will be the customer that will tell the funeral director,
right?
Hey, I want to use Vonda's flower shop. I don't
and
want
when
to
that happens when that happens 2 or 3 times, then the funeral director sees that in you, and then maybe that's when that relationship, and you have everything prepared to swoop in and be there when they want to.
So just switch your focus. If you can't have any kind of relationship with the funeral home, if you feel like their wall is up, focus on your customers. Focus on branding your designs and, marketing towards them.
And I think that's what a lot of these questions are. So what you guys both are saying, what we're all saying about that is, focus on yourself, not on what you have and what you can get rather than what you can't. I really like that idea, Ellie, is that, once they see and they're requesting you time and time again, then they're going to go, well, there must be something to this. There must be. Exactly. And that was when they will be open to having that conversation with you. So if you know that, like, let's say, in 1 week, you had even 2 families request you from that funeral home that you don't get, that's the time for you to go, hey, could we just have a talk? I really would like to talk to you about, doing more work here. My customers are requesting, but that would be the time, I think, keying into when you're being requested.
Yeah, and that leads into a question we have just quickly about, do you suggest requesting an appointment or a cold call? And kind of your process is to request an appointment, right? Sit down.
It is. Yeah, you want to respect their time, right? So making that appointment and making the appointment and even saying to them, I know it's only 2 days away, but I understand if you have a service, that takes, precedence, and so, takes
Being
priority.
flexible.
So yeah, we can move it. So,
and then going in and bringing, whether it's coffee for the team or donuts or lunch or whatever, and coming prepared with a book or whatever your toolkit is to kind of have that little pitch to them.
I would just wanted to add too, is when you're making those deliveries, make sure you're there in a timely manner. I'm sorry if that was already said, but I know that was a huge issue with one of the flower shops in our area, that the one flower shop always brought it like 20 minutes before, and the family's already there. So be very conscientious of that time and making sure that you're getting that there at least an hour and a half prior to the service, because the family is usually there ahead of time to say their prayers and their last goodbyes before people come.
Yeah. Yep. Good point. So here's the one: dealing with in lieu of flowers issue has been appropriate professional manner. How do you deal with that? And that's a hard one. It's trying to have that communication with the funeral director to let them know, again, those studies that were done at the Society of American Florists is like, it's important to have flowers there. It really is important, and telling them why. And, they're not getting any money, right? If it's a memorial, and if they're sending flowers and they have a relationship with you, then there's a possibility there's some revenue there. And so once they know that there's some revenue related to that, they might second guess themselves on putting things in lieu of flowers. Anything else, guys? Go on.
No, I think
I
that's
just
good.
think we're reminding them, you can have both. You can have money set up to go to an organization and flowers. It's
Yeah.
very simple.
Yeah.
People can
So-
send flowers and also do a donation to Operation Pet Rescue, which, you know, or whatever their charity is. Oh,
I'll add in just while you're trying to get yourself. I know a lot of people always say, oh, flowers, they come and go so quickly, but there's suggestions like this that you can do. I know this isn't really great, but they can dry the flowers and then do a little memorial for your person, the person. So, just little tips that you can give, again, on your Facebook page or socially,
Yep.
so that they have other ideas like, oh yes, I can keep those flowers longer than, them just being, fresh in the vase.
yeah, yeah. That's a good idea.
Okay, next question. There's a mortuary in my area that offers flower allowances in their funeral service packages. How can we work with an allowance instead of only going off of the Celebration of Life book? Is this Moses as well?
Yeah, and Vonda, I think
Chat
you're
it
still
in.
muted.
Well, while she's figuring that out, I can answer. Moses, the realistic answer for you is that we would create like a custom, we'd rework the Celebration of Life book to be more like packages, kind of like how you would do for a wedding and do certain ones with different budgets. That's what I would recommend. If there's a way we can kind of create bundles within the Celebration of Life book. Audrey's probably shaking in her boots hearing
Audrey
me say
is
that.
just spitting at you.
But I can help. I'll take that one. That's the most realistic and most effective way I can think of, is to kind of create, and yeah. If the funeral home or the mortuary is open to that, that's what I would do, is kind of a custom book.
Yeah. How to get local funeral homes to stop using the tribute stores and use local flower shops? Well, that is the $1 million question. I feel like some of their arrangements are costly and the dollar amount doesn't get sent to the local flower shop when they are the one filling the order. That is a very good question.
Does anybody from the audience,
is Jeannie on here? Jeannie, are you still here?
Other people have
Susan.
raised their hands. Yeah.
Let's have Susan talk
We'd
about
love to
it.
get.
Where is
Other
she?
people have ideas.
Where'd she go? Oh, she's at the top. All right, Jeannie, I'm gonna unmute you and Susan. All right, Jeannie, you've had dealings with this, right?
Sure, yes. So my knowledge is that funeral homes that are owned by the Dignity Network.
Okay.
So you're not really dealing with a local funeral home. You're dealing with a large corporation. And they are currently, oh gosh, they're using the tribute. No, they're not using the tribute store. Oh gosh, they're using they're using Teleflora. Yeah, they have gone back with Teleflora. And so I had to think about what items come from them. And I pretty much, unfortunately, reject every order because they are not, Teleflora will not give you any extra money to add to their orders. So they are pretty much unprofitable orders. We have one local funeral home that is using the tribute store. And then we have a local funeral home also that is using Consolidated Funeral, which is very similar. Dignity Group, I wish we could break into that and we get the Dignity contract, because we could do some major things with Flower Clique. I mean, the designs at Flower Clique are so incredible.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you so much.
You bet.
Susan, let's see if you can unmute. Thank you. Yeah, Susan, are you unmuted?
I am.
Okay, did you want to talk about this?
I have a couple funeral homes that you do use the Sympathy store or Tribute store, but I also have one that contacted me. It's Choicos. They signed up, they contacted me at the request of the funeral home to get me to be one of their preferred florists. So I was able to go through their all their arrangements, and I could reprice them whatever I wanted to, sort of like CFS, which you can do there as well. So it's a little bit of both in my area, but I really still prefer that one-on-one contact with the funeral home or the family itself.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Okay, good. So Sonal, there you go. Sonal, are you unmuted on your end?
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, good to see all of you. Thank you.
Yes.
On the Dignity Memorial and the tribute stores, I tried very, very hard with Teleflora, to see if they could somehow connect me and make me the preferred florist of my local mortuaries. And they really tried, Teleflora, including Jack Howard. They tried to get me connected to the Dignity Memorial people. And I did get a call from them, but their system is just so preset. And they have Teleflora website on their funeral home websites. And
Right.
it is just impossible to break through that system. Believe me, I've tried everything, and Teleflora people also tried very hard. So we could get, but it is just a very hard nut to crack.
Okay.
Yeah, it
All
was
right.
my understanding that whoever has that sympathy store, the funeral director gets to choose who their first, second, and third choice is on that. And Jeannie, you probably know that. Isn't that what it was before?
Well, in my instance, I'm lucky because I'm the only well, now there's somebody else, but I was the only Teleflora florist in the area. And so, they send them to us, but they won't budge on their pricing. I mean, even when we've had price increases on a medium
Right.
lily, and, we say, this is our price. They expect us to just not even get paid for delivery to cover the pricing. So unfortunately, and it makes it look bad to our local funeral director because they see these orders coming in and you tell them that you're the Teleflora florist, but they don't understand the pricing, and it's just too bad.
Yeah.
So when I had my shop, and I know it's the tribute store, and I don't remember which one is associated with Teleflora, if that's the one. But once you're the preferred shop, you can go back to the tribute store and give them updated pricing. It's a job to do, but if you're preferred and you've already got that upper hand, that is something that you can do so that at least you can get a higher amount for the people that are clicking on that on the site and ordering. At least more money will be coming through for those
Well,
orders.
that works until your rep
Mm.
until your rep. So when we went through, we increased our prices a year ago in February to $15 for a delivery fee. And so I spent, and I don't know how much, Vonda, you want to get into this. So we could do this another time. So you sort of clarify this, but I spent 3.5 hours going through and mirroring as many images through Teleflora as to my website so that my pricing was consistent, that when you looked on the tribute store's price, our price on our website was the same. And I had a rep who did not feel that a $15 delivery fee was realistic. And unfortunately, I know we're all shaking our heads because
Yeah.
this is post-COVID. We're not even, I mean, this was just not this February, but a year ago, February, that I raised the price to 15. And the rep at the tribute store called me on it and said she wasn't going to raise the prices. And she deducted $10 off of everything across the board at least. And when so we had a conversation about it. I went to my local funeral home who had the tribute store, and the wife of the funeral home said, we can't charge our customers $15 for delivery. And she sided with the tribute store, so I lost the account. No matter what the good service, the good work was, she didn't think her clients could handle the $15 delivery fee we were charging. And so it's like you're just, it's a constant battle sometimes. So
It
that's my experience, unfortunately, with the tribute store. And I lost the account. I lost their business. Now, the good thing is, like, this is happening is that we have an amazing website. We have great social media through Flower Clique. You guys handle that for us. We get great postings. We do great Facebook account postings. And then what we're doing ourselves. So we are getting clients and to see what we do, and they see what they do. So they do request us. And we have people who tell us, I can walk in the funeral home and I know your flowers over somebody else's. So those are all good things that we keep doing, which is what you're
Right.
all saying on this webinar. But it is tough. Funeral directors and this business is a tough nut to crack, as Sanal said.
Yeah, for sure. So Ellie, do you want to tell us give us a little insight on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it out in the email, the details, but
Okay.
because we're short on time here, but you'll collect the badges and be able to get a $300 camp credit.
Woo.
And then next week we have arts and crafts next Wednesday, June 26th. I'm going to be leading the class. Lori's going to be helping out a little bit, but it's going to be about Canva and some basics for florists and how to use Canva to your advantage. So that'll be next
So
week.
those that don't know
hopefully.
what Canva is, tell me what Canva is.
So Canva is a visual design tool. There's a free version that it's just a website. There's an app on your phone as well. And there's templates. There's all kinds of things to design social media graphics, email marketing graphics, anything that you can think of visually to communicate digitally, you can design on Canva. So
Perfect.
hopefully that summed it up.
That helps. That helped a lot.
Okay.
Yes. Somebody who doesn't know. So,
Yes.
well, we just want to thank everybody for coming, and we will look forward to seeing you in arts and crafts next week and get another badge, right?
That's right. And then if you want to scroll to the last slide, just so they have Lori and Donna's information. We have a little bit about Flower Clique, but we don't need to get into all that. If you guys have questions, I'm also going to throw Donna's Calendly, if I can find it here in the chat, so everybody can schedule if you guys want to learn more about Flower Clique and Celebration of Life books and all that good stuff.
And you'll send out the recording later, right? And then maybe we can put Donna's email address in that.
Yep.
If they have questions and stuff.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
all right.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.